The experts get it wrong again. I've got the latest update on our economy. Plus, RFK Jr. makes a major announcement surrounding COVID vaccines. Then, President Trump finds himself at a major crossroad with Russia, while Democrats lash out as new evidence surfaces surrounding the Biden cover-up. Welcome to the Kerri Lane Show. I'm Kerri Lane. Experts keep underestimating both the American economy and the power of the MAGA movement. Consumer confidence in May soared to 98, crushing the forecast of just 87. For all those warnings about Trump's trade and tariff policies dragging us down, the reality tells a much different story.
Consumer confidence from the conference board. On the headline number, we're expecting a number somewhere north of 87. Comes in strong, 98.0. That is the best number since February of this year. But I want to point out something. In the rearview mirror, last month's revision from 86 to 85.7 means that last month's headline confidence equals April of 2020, COVID affected, but you have to go back another 6 years to May of 2014 to find a lower number than 85.7.
This is a clear sign that Trump's tough approach is connecting with consumers and that the bad economy narrative, well, it probably got lost somewhere between Bidenomics is working and the gas pump. Now, another positive number the Trump team can point to is this.
And last week, new home sales, they were expected to go down month per month.
They went up.
They went up by 10%.
Yeah.
They were expected to go down by 4%. So people, that shows the confidence in the American consumer that things are good enough so that I can make a huge investment like a house if I need to.
And just when you think the surprises stop there, another unexpected number dropped today. According to Rasmussen, for the first time in their polling history, a majority of Americans now say the country is on the right track. Rasmussen's been tracking sentiment since 2007, and this marks a major shift. With numbers like these, Republicans are gaining ground and heading into the midterms in a stronger position than we've seen in years. And while the GOP rides that momentum, another political figure is making headlines, this time on the health front. RFK Jr. just announced this.
I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
Now let's be clear, because you know the media is going to try and twist this into an anti-vax headline. RFK Jr. is not eliminating access to the COVID vaccine. He's simply saying the benefits of boosters don't outweigh the risks for healthy children and healthy pregnant women. That's it. No bans. Just a shift in guidance based on science, not politics. Go figure. All right, let's shift gears now here to the Russia-Ukraine war. President Trump blasted Vladimir Putin over the weekend, and he is lashing out at the Russian leader again today, writing, quote, "What Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad." He's playing with fire. Now, White House sources are saying that President Trump is considering new sanctions on Moscow as Trump grows increasingly frustrated with Russia's escalated attacks on Ukraine. It is now being reported that the weekend barrage of missiles that Russia sent into Ukraine killed 2 and wounded 16. We know the president has been hesitant to impose sanctions on Russia because he feels if he does that, it's going to drive Putin away from the negotiating table. But it appears now the Russian leader has no interest in a peace deal.
We're learning now behind the scenes that he is considering potentially wanting to place sanctions on Russia and try to kind of up the ante with them and show President Putin that he's very serious about this. Of course, this comes as we know that many of the United States' European allies and even some people here in the United States, people like Senator Lindsey Graham, have really been pressuring and trying to influence this administration to do just that, to put sanctions on Russia and try to force their hand.
These next few days are critical. President Trump, he is now at a crossroad, and if he wants to maintain his image as tough, decisive, and unafraid to act, it is time to put up or step aside.
It's very important for the president at this point, after 5 to 6 weeks of expressing frustration and threatening sanctions, to move ahead and do something. So whether it's that particular set of sanctions or something else, It's very important at this time that he take concrete action. This is not going to harm the prospect of negotiations. It's going to incentivize them.
I'll continue to follow those latest developments and keep you posted as we receive new updates. Meantime, the Democrats seem to be in a relationship with self-sabotage, and they just don't know how to end it. Instead of telling Americans what they'd actually do if handed the keys to the country tomorrow, they're still obsessing over Trump like he ghosted them after a bad date. Spoiler alert, it's not a winning strategy.
It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. We know when it comes down to his criminality, he is not qualified to serve, but this is just absolutely deplorable.
No wonder Democrats are bleeding support from young voters. They spent the past 4 years quietly sipping tea while the roof was on fire. And now they're concerned about mental acuity? They're worried about a president who has accomplished more in 3 months than Biden did in 4 years? Make that make sense. And what makes Jasmine's statement look even more ridiculous is the new bombshell revelations coming to light over Joe Biden's cover-up.
It is a scandal.
Yes.
It is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he wasn't drinking, and the idea that we don't mean to exonerate. The only reason that we have the Watergate thing is there because we quote Archibald Cox, who was a Watergate investigator, talking about how powerful the presidency is and how presidents get surrounded by people who have a vested interest in keeping that president propped up.
So while Biden was brushing up on campaign speeches, or let's be honest, probably just trying to figure out what year it was, a longtime White House aide admits in a new book that Biden was in no shape to run, let alone serve a second term. Yet senior officials were looking to create a Weekend at Bernie's sequel. They admitted that Biden's age justified the 2024 run because voters were really electing the team around him. I don't remember the nominee's team being on the ballot or campaign trail for that matter.
These aides were not even Senate confirmed aides. These are White House aides. These were unelected people. And one of the things that really, I think, comes out in our reporting here is that if you believe, and I think a lot of these people do sincerely believe that Donald Trump was and is an existential threat to democracy, you can rationalize anything, including sometimes doing undemocratic things.
Biden's inner circle, none of them elected, mind you, decided it was totally cool to ignore democratic norms in order to save democracy.
I remember feeling, I want to talk about this as a huge liability. I want to talk about this as something Joe Biden can overcome. But I'm not going to go so far as to say, I think Joe Biden must drop out. He is too old to be president. A, because I didn't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes. But B, if Joe Biden is the candidate, I want him to fucking win.
Even a Democratic congressman is starting to break ranks and call this what it is, concerning.
What I can say is the details that are coming out certainly are concerning. And again, this is the role of the Oversight Committee. And if they choose to do that, we welcome them doing their job. I just think that oversight can't be partisan. And if we want to have accountability and transparency in government, we have to look at everything.
It appears the calls for a threat to democracy were coming from inside the House. So where do the Democrats go from here? Well, here's one option.
Because right now the Democratic message is really all over the place. What do they exactly stand for as they head into the midterm elections? But right now it's a hope, really, among the Democratic leaders that voters will recoil what they view as overreach from the Trump administration. They will make the argument that they need to be a check on Trump's power and to use Trump's push to move ahead with this so-called big beautiful bill, which rail about the tax cuts and that do benefit wealthy taxpayers, also other taxpayers too, but that does have an impact for them, and the impact on lower income working class voters, the healthcare cuts that they can face. Can they make that effective argument to win back the majority? We'll see.
Democrats can spin and deflect all they want, but if they stay on this path, they are on track to repeat the results of 2024. My guess? Republicans are just fine with that. Well, still ahead, I break down the latest tariff talks between President Trump and the EU. Plus, you're going to hear from Trump on his latest warning to Harvard. That and so much more packed into the next show. Go ahead, click on the video you see now on your screen and join me on the other side.